The Treaty of Terra was signed on Earth, in the ruins of what had once been New York City. Representatives from all 7 Zephron species stood before human leaders, their heads bowed in defeat. Billions watched across the galaxy as the most powerful empire in known space surrendered to a species that had barely reached the stars. Elena Voss stood at the signing table, her hand resting on the treaty document. She had written many of the terms herself, struggling to balance justice with mercy. The document was harsh but not cruel, demanding but not impossible. The terms were clear. The Zephron military would be dismantled. War criminals would stand trial. Reparations would be paid to Earth and all enslaved species. Human forces would occupy Zephron worlds for 200 years to ensure compliance. But there would be no genocide, no extinction, no revenge beyond what justice demanded. Harold Caxthor signed for the Zephron hegemony. His hand shook as he put his mark on the document. When he finished, he looked up at Elena. "You showed us mercy we did not deserve," he said quietly. "Why?" Elena met his eyes. "Because someone had to be better. Because if we destroyed you completely, we would have destroyed ourselves in the process. Because mercy is harder than revenge, and we needed to prove we could choose the harder path." The signing ceremony ended. The war was officially over. But Elena felt no joy, no triumph. She felt only exhaustion and loss. 3 billion humans were still dead. Entire cities remained ruins. The scars would never fully heal. That night, she stood alone on a balcony overlooking the ruins of New York. The city was slowly being rebuilt, but it would never be the same. Nothing would ever be the same. "Commander," a voice spoke behind her. She turned to see a young soldier, barely 20 years old. "I wanted to thank you. My family died in the bombardment. I spent 5 years wanting revenge. Your speech made me realize that revenge was not what they would have wanted. They would have wanted us to be better." Elena smiled sadly. "What will you do now?" "The war is over. I am going to help rebuild," the soldier said. "Turn my weapons training into construction skills. Help make Earth beautiful again." After the soldier left, Elena thought about her own future. She had spent 5 years as a warrior. Could she become something else? Could any of them? The trial of Marcus Chen began 3 months after the treaty. It was held on Earth, broadcast to the entire galaxy. The charges were severe. War crimes, unauthorized use of weapons of mass destruction, murder of 2 billion Zephron civilians on Thera 9. Marcus stood in the courtroom, showing no emotion. When asked how he pleaded, he simply said, "Guilty. I did what I thought was necessary to protect humanity. I do not regret it." His defense was simple. He argued that in war, all actions were justified if they saved human lives. He claimed that his actions, while terrible, had forced the Zephron to surrender sooner. He said the lives saved by ending the war early outnumbered those lost on Thera 9. Some agreed with him. Many did not. Elena testified against him. It was one of the hardest things she had ever done. Marcus had been her friend, her ally, her weapon designer, but he had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. Dr. Chen believed the ends justified the means, she told the court. But if we accept that logic, then we become no different from the Zephron who attacked us. They believed conquering Earth was justified because it served their empire. We must be better than that, or we have lost everything that makes us human. Marcus was found guilty. The sentence was life imprisonment, but with an unusual condition. He would continue his scientific work, but only on defensive technologies and reconstruction projects. His genius would serve humanity, but never again would he design weapons of mass destruction. When the guards took him away, Marcus looked at Elena one last time. "You will regret showing them mercy. The galaxy is not kind to the merciful." "Maybe," Elena replied, "but I would rather regret mercy than become a monster without regret." The Terran Accord was established 6 months after the treaty. It was a new galactic organization, with humanity at its center. The purpose was to prevent future wars through cooperation rather than conquest. Dozens of species joined, including the freed Velkin people and several former Zephron allies. The Accord had one simple rule: no species would dominate another. All would be equal. Disputes would be settled through negotiation, not violence. Those who violated the peace would face the combined military might of all member species. And everyone knew that military might included humanity, the species that had defeated the greatest empire in the galaxy. No one wanted to face human fury a second time. Harold Caxthor became an unexpected ambassador for peace. Released from prison after 2 years for his cooperation and his attempts to prevent the original attack, he dedicated his life to preventing future conflicts. He traveled the galaxy, speaking about the horrors of war and the importance of understanding other species before judging them. Many Zephron hated him for this. Many humans did not trust him, but he continued his work, believing that redemption was possible for anyone who truly sought it. Elena retired from military service 5 years after the war ended. She was 42 years old and felt ancient. She had spent her youth protecting humanity from asteroids, her prime years fighting the Zephron, and now she wanted to spend whatever time remained helping Earth heal. She took a position as a teacher, educating children about the war and its lessons. She wanted the next generation to understand both the necessity of strength and the importance of compassion. She wanted them to know that humanity had won not just through weapons, but through the choice to be better than their enemies. One day, a student asked her the question she had been asked 1,000 times. "Commander Voss, did we win the war?" Elena thought carefully before answering. "We survived. We defeated the Zephron military. We freed enslaved species. We built a peace that has lasted years. But did we win? That depends on what we do now. Victory is not just about defeating enemies. It is about building something better from the ashes of war." She looked at the young faces before her, children who had been born during or after the war. They did not remember Earth before the bombardment. They did not know peace before they knew war. They were growing up in a galaxy where humanity was both feared and respected. "You are the real victory," Elena told them. "You will decide what humanity becomes. We fought so you could have choices we did not have. Choose wisely. Choose compassion when you can. Choose strength when you must. And always remember the billions who died so you could live." 50 years after the war ended, Earth had been rebuilt. Cities rose from the ruins, more beautiful than before. The planet was scarred, but scars could be beautiful too. They told stories. They reminded people of where they had been and how far they had come. The Terran Accord had grown to include 70 species. Humans served as peacekeepers, mediators, and protectors. When disputes arose, human negotiators helped find solutions. When threats emerged, human fleets responded. But they responded with measured force, not overwhelming destruction. Humanity had learned its lesson. Power without restraint was tyranny. Strength without compassion was cruelty. They had become the galaxy's guardians not through fear alone, but through demonstrating they could be trusted with power. A memorial stood where New York City had once been. It was a massive wall miles long, carved with 3 billion names. Every person who died in the bombardment was remembered. Visitors came from across the galaxy to see it, to understand what had started the war and why humans fought so fiercely. At the base of the memorial, words were carved in 100 languages. They came to our world seeking to conquer us. They awakened our fury and learned to fear the fire we brought to the stars. But from those ashes, we built something better. We built peace. We built hope. We built a galaxy where no species would suffer as we suffered. This is our promise. This is our memorial. This is our future. Elena Voss died at the age of 92, surrounded by family and friends. Her funeral was attended by representatives from every species in the Terran Accord. They came to honor the woman who had chosen mercy over vengeance, who had proven that strength and compassion could coexist. Harold Caxthor, old and gray himself, spoke at her funeral. "She was my enemy. She defeated me. She could have destroyed my people. Instead, she gave us a chance to be better. She saved both our species, not through weakness, but through the strength to choose peace over revenge. The galaxy is better because she lived." Marcus Chen, released from prison after serving 40 years, also attended. He was an old man now, his anger long since burned away. He had spent decades designing better farms, cleaner energy, and safer construction methods. His weapons were gone, but his genius remained, now serving life instead of death. He stood before Elena's casket and spoke words only he could hear. "You were right. The galaxy is not kind to the merciful, but it respects them. It needs them. I wish I had understood that sooner. I wish I had been better. Rest well, old friend. You earned it." A century after the war, children across the galaxy learned about the conflict in their history classes. They learned about the Zephron's mistake. They learned about humanity's fury. They learned about the choice between revenge and mercy, But most importantly, they learned that humanity had once been victims who became warriors, and warriors who became guardians. 5 years into the war, humanity stood at the edge of total victory or complete damnation. The Terran fleets had penetrated deep into Zephyron territory. 3 of the 7 hegemony homeworlds were under siege. The aliens who had once seemed unstoppable were retreating, desperate. Afraid, Elena Voss commanded the offensive from her flagship, the Fury. The ship was scarred from 100 battles, just like its commander. She looked older now, gray streaking her hair, lines carved deep into her face. War had aged her in ways that went beyond years. The final assault plan was displayed before the military council. Representatives from all human forces and their Velkan allies gathered in the holographic conference. The objective was simple and terrible: strike all 7 Zephyron homeworlds simultaneously. Decapitate the hegemony in one massive blow. "This is it," Elena said to the assembled commanders. "Everything we have fought for comes down to this offensive. We hit them everywhere at once. We do not stop until they surrender." One commander raised his hand. "And if they do not surrender, what then?" Elena hesitated. She did not have an answer she wanted to give. Marcus Chen answered for her. His face appeared on the screen from his research station. He looked worse than Elena, gaunt and hollow-eyed. "Then we activate Ragnarok." Silence filled the conference. Everyone knew what Ragnarok was. Marcus had been building it for 2 years, using resources Elena had tried to deny him. He had found ways around her restrictions. He always did. "Explain Ragnarok to those who do not know," Elena said quietly. Marcus smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Ragnarok is a network of weapon platforms positioned near enemy stars. When activated, they trigger massive solar flares. Stellar coronas ignite. Entire systems become uninhabitable. It is not instant like a bomb. The planets burn slowly. Everyone dies, but they know it is coming. They feel it." A Velkan commander stood up, their blue skin pale with shock. "That is genocide. That is the murder of billions of civilians." "Yes," Marcus said simply, "just like they did to us. Why should we offer mercy when they offered none?" Arguments erupted across the conference. Some supported Marcus, believing the Zephyron deserved extinction. Others sided with Elena, insisting that humanity must not become monsters. The debate raged for hours. Finally, Elena ended it. "Ragnarok remains a last option. We will offer terms of surrender. If they refuse, if they continue to fight, then we will consider all options dismissed." The commanders left, but the damage was done. The human military was divided. Some wanted total victory at any cost. Others wanted a peace they could live with. The question was, which side would win? The Battle of Crimson Nebula began 3 weeks later. It was the largest space engagement in recorded galactic history. Over 10,000 ships clashed in the red clouds of the dying star. Human vessels fought alongside Velkan allies, and even some Threxian defectors who had abandoned the hegemony. Elena commanded from the center of the chaos. Her fleet pushed toward the Zephyron flagship, where Herald Caxthor himself directed the defense. She had learned much about the Herald over the years. He was the one who had delivered the ultimatum. He was the one whose decision started this war. The battle lasted 3 days. Space became a graveyard of shattered ships and frozen bodies. Human forces pressed forward relentlessly, taking terrible casualties but never stopping. The Zephyron line began to collapse. On the 2nd day of fighting, something unexpected happened. Elena received a direct communication from Herald Caxthor himself. She accepted, curious what the alien had to say. His face appeared on her screen. He looked different than the cold, confident being from 5 years ago. He looked tired, defeated, perhaps even regretful. "Commander Voss," he said in Galactic Standard, "I wish to speak with you." "There is nothing to discuss," Elena replied. "Surrender your forces or we will destroy them. Before you do, you should know something." Caxthor paused, as if the words were difficult. "I tried to warn your people. Before the attack on Earth, I sent messages to your world. I told them the hegemony was coming. I asked them to evacuate their cities, to prepare, to hide. My warnings were ignored by my superiors. They wanted Earth's resources too badly to wait." Elena felt cold. "You are lying." "I am not." Caxthor transmitted data files. "These are my communications. I did not want this war. I knew your species showed potential. I believed given time you could become allies, but the council overruled me. They ordered immediate pacification. I followed orders because I was a coward. Elena read the files. They were genuine. Caxthor had tried to prevent the attack. It had not been enough, but he had tried. Why tell me this now? She asked. Because you need to know that not all of us wanted this. Some of us tried to stop it, and now you stand where we once stood, deciding whether to show mercy or deliver extinction. Choose wisely, Commander. Become the better version of what we could have been. The transmission ended. Elena sat in silence, processing what she had learned. The alien who started this war had tried to prevent it. The enemy was not purely evil. They were simply beings who made terrible choices, just like humans were about to do. The battle ended on the third day. The Zephron fleet was shattered. Harold Caxthor's flagship was crippled but not destroyed. Elena gave the order to capture it intact rather than destroy it. Some of her officers questioned the decision. She did not explain. She was no longer sure she could explain her own choices. But someone else made a choice that day. Marcus Chen, watching the battle from his research station, saw something different. He saw humanity on the edge of victory, held back by Elena's mercy. He saw the chance for true peace slipping away because she refused to do what was necessary. He activated one Ragnarok platform without authorization. It was positioned near a Zephron colony world called Thera 9. The platform fired. The star's corona ignited. Within hours, the planet's atmosphere began to burn. 2 billion Zephron civilians were trapped on the surface, watching their sky turn to fire. Elena learned about it when the reports came in. She felt her blood turn to ice. "Get me Marcus, now." Marcus appeared on her screen, calm and unbothered. "I did what you would not. Thera 9 is gone. The Zephron will know we are serious now. They will surrender." "You murdered 2 billion people," Elena said, her voice shaking with rage. "You are a war criminal. You are under arrest." "You made me a weapon," Marcus replied. "Do not be surprised when I cut." Elena gave the order. Marcus Chen was arrested by military police within the hour. But the damage was done. Thera 9 was burning. The galaxy watched in horror as humanity revealed its darkest capability. The Zephron hegemony began to fracture completely. 4 species surrendered independently, begging for mercy, promising they never wanted the war. They blamed the Zephron leadership for everything. Some of it was lies. Some of it was truth. Within Elena's own forces, a mutiny nearly occurred. Thousands of soldiers refused to serve under a command that would allow such weapons to exist. They had not fought for 5 years just to become the same monsters they opposed. Elena addressed the entire fleet in a galaxy-wide broadcast. She stood before the cameras, still in her battle-worn uniform, and spoke from her heart. "I am Commander Elena Voss. 5 years ago, the Zephron attacked our world. They killed 3 billion of us. They thought we would break. They were wrong. We fought back, we won, but winning is not enough. We must win with honor, or we become exactly what we fought against." She paused, letting her words settle. Dr. Marcus Chen acted without authorization. He will face trial for war crimes. The Ragnarok platforms will be dismantled. Humanity will not win this war through genocide. We will win it by being better than our enemies. We will show mercy where they showed none. We will offer peace where they offered only domination. The broadcast reached every human ship, every colony, every survivor on Earth. It also reached the Zephron, who listened in disbelief. The humans were offering peace? After everything that had happened, after all the death and destruction, they were offering mercy? Not all humans agreed with Elena's decision. Many wanted total revenge, but enough supported her that the mutiny did not happen. The fleet held together, barely. Harold Caxthor, imprisoned on Elena's flagship, watched her broadcast from his cell. He understood now what made humans truly dangerous. It was not their weapons or their tactics. It was their capacity to choose compassion even when vengeance would be easier. The Zephron High Council met in emergency session. They were out of options. Their military was defeated. Their allies had abandoned them. And the humans, inexplicably, were offering peace instead of extinction. The first counselor spoke the words no one wanted to hear. "We surrender." The war was over, but peace had only just begun. 2 years into the war, humanity was no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting for conquest. The Prometheus engine had changed everything. Human fleets could appear anywhere in alien territory without warning. They struck military bases, destroyed supply depots, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Elena Voss stood in the command center on Mars, studying a holographic map of the galaxy. Red markers showed Zephyrin systems. Blue markers showed human attacks. There were hundreds of blue markers now, spreading like a disease through alien space. "We have movement in the Kylara system," an officer reported. "Intelligence suggests it is a slave world. The Zephyrin have been mining there for centuries." Elena leaned closer to the map. "Slave world? You mean they are using other species as workers?" "Yes, Commander. The Velkin people. They were conquered before we were. Reports indicate over 2 billion of them are in forced labor." Elena felt anger rise in her chest. The Zephyrin had done this to others before Earth. They were not warriors defending their territory. They were predators, slavers, murderers who had been doing this for generations. "Prepare a liberation fleet," she ordered. "We are going to free them." Marcus Chen objected when he heard the plan. He found Elena in her office late that night. "We should be focusing on Zephyron military targets. Why waste resources on aliens we do not know?" Elena looked at him with tired eyes. "Because if we only destroy, we become exactly what they are. We need allies, Marcus, and we need to remember that we are still human." "I remember what I am," Marcus said coldly. "I am a weapon you pointed at the enemy. Do not be surprised when I want to keep killing them." Elena stood up, facing him directly. "You are a man who lost his family. I understand that pain, we all do. But if revenge is all we have left, then they have already won. They will have turned us into monsters." Marcus did not respond. He simply turned and left. Elena watched him go, worried about what her friend was becoming. The Liberation Fleet arrived at Kylara 5 3 weeks later. The planet was gray and dying, its surface covered in massive mining operations. Zephyrin warships orbited above, protecting their investment. They did not expect an attack so deep in their territory. 20 human vessels dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly above the planet. The Reapers struck first, crippling the orbital defense platforms. Heavy cruisers engaged the Zephyrin warships while assault carriers launched landing craft toward the surface. The Velkin people looked up from their work to see human soldiers pouring out of shuttles. The humans wore black armor marked with a symbol, a planet Earth burning in red fire. They moved through the mining camps, destroying automated guards and freeing prisoners. One Velkin elder approached a human officer. The alien was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large, fearful eyes. "Why do you help us?" the elder asked in broken galactic standard. "We are not your people." The human officer removed her helmet. She was young, perhaps 20 years old. "The Zephyron attacked our world. They killed our families. We will not let them do this to anyone else." The liberation took 18 hours. By the end, the Zephyron ground forces were destroyed, and 3 million Velkin were freed. Many of them asked to join the human military. They wanted revenge too. They wanted to fight. Elena approved their request. The Velkin became humanity's first alien allies. They brought knowledge of Zephyron tactics, star charts of their territory, and most importantly, they brought hope. Other species began to hear about the humans who freed slaves. Whispers spread through the galaxy. Maybe the Zephyron could be defeated after all. But humanity's victories came with a dark side. Marcus Chen had been developing new weapons in secret. He called them Hellburner missiles. They were designed to destabilize stars, causing massive solar flares that would sterilize entire planets from light years away. When Elena learned about the project, she confronted him immediately. "This is genocide, Marcus. This will kill billions of civilians." "Good," Marcus replied without hesitation. "They killed billions of ours. Why should we show mercy when they showed none?" "Because we are better than them," Elena shouted. She rarely raised her voice, but this was too far. "These weapons make us the villains. We cannot use them." "We can, and we will if necessary," Marcus said. "I am putting humanity first. That is my job. That is what you made me do." The argument ended without resolution. Elena ordered the Hellburner project sealed, but she could not destroy it. Part of her understood Marcus's logic. Part of her feared he might be right. The galaxy was not kind. Maybe kindness was a luxury humanity could not afford. The Zephyron coalition was fracturing. Two of their member species, the Threxian Commonwealth and the Vakari Unity, had begun secret negotiations with humanity. They had not wanted this war. They were part of the coalition because refusing meant destruction. Now they saw a chance to escape. Harold Caxthor received reports of these betrayals with cold rage. His empire was crumbling. The humans were spreading chaos wherever they went. Other species were rebelling. The military was losing confidence in their leaders. He was summoned before the High Council, 7 ancient beings who ruled the Zephron hegemony. They sat in judgment, their faces cold and merciless. "You assured us the humans would surrender," the first counselor said. "You said they were primitive. You said they would break." Caxthor kept his head bowed. "I was mistaken. The humans are unlike any species we have encountered. They do not fight logically. They do not value their own lives above the mission. They are driven by emotion, by rage, by something we do not understand." "Then make us understand," the second counselor demanded. "How are we losing to a species that barely had interstellar travel 3 years ago?" Caxthor raised his head, meeting their eyes. "Because they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. We fight to conquer. They fight to survive. We fight for territory. They fight for vengeance. And vengeance makes them stronger than any weapon we have." The council was silent for a long moment. Finally, the first counselor spoke. "Find a way to stop them, Harold, or we will find someone who can." Caxthor left the council chambers knowing his time was running out. The humans had to be stopped, but he no longer knew how. Every tactic failed. Every strategy crumbled. They were like a fire that spread faster the more you tried to contain it. On Earth, celebrations filled the streets for the first time since the bombardment. Humanity had won another major victory, destroying a Zephron fortress in the Andros system. People danced, laughed, and sang. For a moment, they forgot about the billions who had died. For a moment, they felt hope. But in the underground laboratories, Marcus Chen was working. He was improving the Hellburner missiles, making them more efficient, more deadly. He told himself it was for humanity's protection. He told himself the enemy deserved this. He did not let himself think about what he was becoming. Elena watched the celebrations from her office window. She saw the joy on people's faces and felt only exhaustion. They were winning the war, but she wondered what they were losing in the process. How much humanity could they sacrifice before they were no longer human at all? A message appeared on her console. Intelligence had discovered the location of a major Zephron shipyard. It was building a new fleet, hundreds of vessels designed specifically to counter human tactics. If they completed construction, the war could turn against humanity. Elena read the report and made her decision. The shipyard would be destroyed. She would lead the attack herself, but she would do it with honor. She would give the workers time to evacuate. She would offer mercy to those who surrendered. She would prove that humanity could be both strong and compassionate, that they could bring fire to the stars without burning away everything they once were. The order went out across the fleet. Prepare for the largest offensive yet. Prepare to show the galaxy that humanity was not just capable of destruction, but also capable of choice. The choice to be better even when the universe gave every reason to be worse. The fire was spreading across the stars. But humanity would decide what kind of fire it would be. A wildfire that consumed everything, or a torch that lit the way forward. The war was far from over. The hardest battles were still to come. 6 months had passed since the bombardment. The alien ships still orbited Earth like vultures, but they had stopped attacking. Harold Caxthor believed the humans were beaten. He was waiting for their inevitable surrender. He did not know that humanity was preparing for something else entirely. Deep inside the asteroid Ceres, a secret base had been built. Thousands of people worked there day and night. The base was hidden from alien sensors, buried under miles of rock and ice. This was where humanity was building its future, and that future was made of weapons. Elena Voss walked through the base corridors. She wore the uniform of Supreme Commander now, though she had never wanted the rank. Too many people above her had died. Someone had to lead, and the survivors trusted her. They had seen her defiance. They had heard her promise to fight. She entered the main laboratory and found Marcus Chen standing before a massive window. Beyond the glass was something that should not exist. A ship, sleek and deadly, hung in the construction bay. It was smaller than the alien vessels, but built with purpose. Every line was aggressive. Every surface was armed. "The first Reaper is ready," Marcus said without turning around. His voice was flat, emotionless. He had not smiled since Beijing burned. "We can begin pilot integration tomorrow." Elena studied the ship. "Tell me again how this works." "Simple words, Marcus. I am a soldier, not a scientist." Marcus finally looked at her. Dark circles surrounded his eyes. He barely slept anymore. The aliens are more advanced than us. Their technology is better. Their ships are stronger. We cannot beat them with normal tactics. He pointed at the Reaper. So we do something they would never do. We connect human minds directly to the ship's systems. The pilot becomes the ship. Thinks like the ship. Reacts faster than any computer. That sounds dangerous, Elena said. It is. We lost 3 pilots in testing. Marcus showed no emotion when he said this. But the 4th pilot survived. She can do things no human has ever done before. She can predict enemy movements. Adapt in real time. Think in 3 dimensions while moving at impossible speeds. Elena felt cold. You are turning our people into weapons. Yes. Marcus met her eyes. Because that is what we need. Weapons. They brought death to us. We will return the favor. The first combat test came 2 weeks later. A small group of alien ships had moved away from Earth to investigate the asteroid belt. They were searching for human mining outposts. They found something else instead. The Reaper dropped out of stealth directly behind the alien formation. The pilot, a young woman named Sarah Kim, felt the ship respond to her thoughts. When she wanted to turn, it turned. When she wanted to fire, weapons unleashed before she could finish the thought. The aliens never had time to react. Their sensors could not track the Reaper's movements. Their weapons could not hit it. In 3 minutes, 5 alien ships were destroyed. The Reaper vanished back into stealth before reinforcements could arrive. Harold Caxthor watched the attack recordings with growing confusion. The human ship moved in patterns that made no sense. It took risks no sane commander would take. It sacrificed shield strength for speed, armor for maneuverability. It was illogical. It was effective. Increase patrols, he ordered his officers. These humans are becoming troublesome. But the attacks continued. Human forces struck supply convoys. They ambushed scout ships. They destroyed a fuel depot on one of Jupiter's moons using nothing but a freighter filled with nuclear bombs. The freighter crew stayed on board until the last second, then evacuated in escape pods. Half of them died when the aliens shot down their pods, but the mission succeeded. This confused the aliens even more. Why would humans sacrifice themselves for a tactical advantage? Why did they refuse to retreat from losing battles? Why did they fight with such desperation? The answer was simple. Humanity had nothing left to lose. Earth was already wounded. Billions were already dead. There was no surrender, no negotiation, no mercy left in human hearts. There was only the mission, only the fight, only revenge. In the series base, Marcus Chen unveiled his next creation. He called it the Prometheus engine. It was a faster-than-light drive, but it did not work like alien technology. The aliens used jump gates, massive structures that allowed instant travel between stars. Humans could not build those. They did not have the resources or the time. So Marcus built something different. The Prometheus engine ripped a hole through space itself. It was dangerous. It was unstable. 10% of ships using it would be destroyed. But it worked. And it meant humanity could go anywhere in the galaxy without using alien jump gates. We can bypass their defenses, Elena realized as she studied the plans. Strike anywhere. Retreat anywhere. They will never know where we will hit next. Yes, Marcus said. He almost smiled, but it was not a happy expression. It was the smile of a predator. Let them feel what we felt. Let them know fear. The first major battle came at Jupiter's orbit. The aliens had positioned a large fleet there, blocking human access to the outer solar system. 50 alien warships against 15 human vessels. The odds were impossible. Elena commanded the human fleet from her flagship. She stood on the bridge watching the alien formation approach. Her officers were nervous. Some had been civilians 6 months ago. Now they were warriors because humanity needed warriors. All ships, Elena spoke into the fleet-wide channel. Today we show them what happens when you attack Earth. Today we make them regret finding us. All ships, attack formation. Let them see our fury. The human ships charged forward. The aliens expected them to retreat. Instead, the humans accelerated. They flew directly into the alien formation, breaking it apart. Ship-to-ship combat was chaos. The Reapers danced through the battlefield, destroying enemy vessels with surgical precision. Human frigates rammed alien cruisers when they ran out of missiles. One human destroyer was crippled, engines dead, life support failing. The captain could have evacuated. Instead, he aimed his ship at the alien flagship and detonated the reactor. Both ships were destroyed, but it created an opening in the alien defense. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 23 alien ships were destroyed or crippled. Humanity lost 9 vessels, but they had won. They had actually won. The survivors cheered. They cried. They screamed their victory into the void. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Humanity could fight back. Humanity could win. Harold Caxthor watched the battle reports in silence. He had lost nearly half his Jupiter fleet to a force 1/3 its size. His superiors were demanding answers. How had primitives defeated Zephron warriors? He pulled up the combat recordings again, watching human ships perform maneuvers that should be impossible. They fought without fear. They sacrificed without hesitation. They adapted to every tactic he tried. For the first time in his long career, Harold Caxthor felt something he had never experienced before. He felt doubt, and beneath that doubt he felt the first cold touch of fear. A captured human pilot was brought before him. The woman was injured but defiant. Caxthor asked her why humans fought so desperately when defeat was inevitable. The pilot smiled with bloody teeth. "Because you taught us something important. You showed us that the universe is full of monsters. So we decided to become the monsters you should fear. You want to know why we fight? Because we have nothing left but rage, and we will burn your empire to ashes with it." Caxthor had her taken away, but her words stayed with him. The Zephron High Command sent a message that day. They were changing humanity's classification. No longer were they considered primitive. Now they were designated as Class 7 aggressive species. It was the same classification given to species that threatened the entire galaxy. Humanity did not know about this classification. They would not have cared. They were too busy building more Reapers, training more pilots, and planning their next attack. The war had truly begun, and humanity was no longer prey. They were becoming hunters. The morning sky over New York City had never looked more beautiful. Elena Voss stood on the observation deck of Orbital Defense Platform 7, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath her. The blue and green planet sparkled in the sunlight. She had served in space for 12 years, protecting humanity's home from asteroids and space debris. It was a quiet job. Boring even. Nothing ever happened up here. That was about to change forever. The sensors started screaming first. Elena rushed to her console, her coffee floating away in the zero gravity. The screen showed something impossible. 15 massive objects had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were bigger than anything humans had ever built. Each ship was the size of a small city. "This is Platform 7 to Earth Command," Elena spoke into her headset, trying to keep her voice steady. "We have unknown vessels approaching. Requesting immediate analysis." The response came quickly, but it was confused. Earth Command had no idea what these ships were. Humanity had never met aliens before. There were theories, hopes, and dreams about first contact. Scientists had prepared speeches. Diplomats had practiced greetings. Everyone imagined it would be peaceful. They were wrong. The alien ships moved fast, much faster than human vessels. Within 6 hours, they reached Earth's orbit. Elena watched them arrange themselves around the planet like predators circling prey. Her hands shook as she activated every defense system on her platform. She knew it would not be enough. Then the message came. It appeared on every screen, every phone, every computer on Earth and in space. A face appeared, alien and strange. Its skin was silver gray, its eyes were large and completely black. When it spoke, the words were translated somehow directly into every language. "I am Harold Caxthor of the Zephron Hegemony," the alien said. Its voice was cold and mechanical. "Your species has been evaluated. You are primitive. Your planet contains resources we require. You will surrender immediately. You will serve. Resistance is futile. You have 1 hour to accept these terms." Elena felt ice in her stomach. This was not first contact. This was a death sentence. The governments of Earth tried to respond. They sent messages of peace, offered negotiations, begged for time. The alien ships did not answer. When the hour ended, they opened fire. Elena watched in horror as beams of pure energy lanced down from the alien vessels. They struck the largest cities on Earth. New York disappeared in a flash of light. Tokyo vanished. Mumbai, São Paulo, London, Beijing, Cairo. One by one, the great cities of humanity were erased from existence. 3 billion people died in the first 3 days. The orbital platforms tried to fight back. Elena fired every missile she had. They barely scratched the alien shields. Around her, other platforms were destroyed. She saw them explode in silent flashes of light. Her crew was screaming. Some were crying. Some were praying. "All hands abandon platform," Elena ordered. "Get to the escape pods now." But the aliens were thorough. They targeted the escape pods as they launched. Elena watched her crew die one by one. She was the last person left on Platform 7. She climbed into the final escape pod and launched. An alien beam struck the platform behind her, and the explosion threw her pod spinning into space. She thought she would die out there, tumbling through the void. But a damaged human freighter found her 3 days later. By then, the bombardment had stopped. The aliens had made their point. Elena landed on what remained of Earth. The planet was burning. Smoke covered half the continents. Entire nations had been wiped away. The survivors were in shock, wandering through ruins looking for loved ones who would never come home. Dr. Marcus Chen was one of those survivors. He had been in a research facility deep underground when Beijing was destroyed. His wife and 2 daughters had been in the city. When he emerged from the facility, there was nothing left but a crater 50 miles wide. No bodies to bury, no homes to return to, just glass and ash. Marcus did not cry. He could not. Something inside him had broken, or perhaps it had hardened into something new. He walked through the refugee camps and saw millions of people who had lost everything, just like him. Their faces showed the same expression. It was not fear anymore. It was rage. The alien message came again. Harold Caxthor appeared on the screens once more. "You have seen our power. Surrender now. Serve, and some of you will live. Refuse, and we will finish what we have started." The world leaders met in an underground bunker. They represented what was left of humanity. The discussion was short. Every person in that room had lost someone. Every nation had been wounded. The vote was unanimous. Humanity's answer was broadcast to the alien ships. It was simple. It was direct. It was delivered by Elena Voss, still in her damaged uniform, her face covered in soot and dried blood. "No," she said to the cameras, staring directly into the lens as if she could see Harold Caxthor through it. "You came to our home. You murdered our families. You think we will serve you? You think we will bow? You have made a mistake. You wanted to break humanity. Instead, you have united us. We have one message for you and everyone watching across the stars. We will fight. We will resist. And we will make you regret the day you found us." The old nations dissolved that day. The Terran Unified Command was born. Every surviving government, every military force, every scientist and engineer joined together. Money meant nothing anymore. Politics meant nothing. There was only one goal now: survival and vengeance. In the ruins of Beijing, Marcus Chen returned to his research facility. The other scientists asked what he wanted to work on. He looked at them with empty eyes. "Weapons," he said. "Every weapon we can imagine. Every weapon we can build. If they want to destroy us, we will make them pay for it with every ship they have." Above Earth, the alien vessels waited. Harold Caxthor sat in his command chamber, confident that the humans would surrender within days. His species had conquered 40 worlds. They had pacified 100 primitive races. Humans were no different. They would break. They always broke. But in the refugee camps, in the underground bunkers, in the hidden bases on Mars and Europa, something was happening. Humanity was not breaking. It was transforming. The survivors were not becoming slaves. They were becoming soldiers. An old phrase began to spread through the camps. Someone had spray-painted it on a wall in the ruins of New York. It appeared on banners, on uniforms, on the sides of ships. 3 simple words that would become humanity's promise to the galaxy. We bring fire. Harold Caxthor did not understand what was happening. He had defeated humans. He had shown them their weakness. He had given them the chance to surrender. He did not realize he had awakened something far more dangerous than he could imagine. Humanity had learned that the universe was not kind. There were monsters among the stars. And if humans had to become monsters to survive, they would do it without hesitation. The war had begun, and the aliens had no idea what was coming for them.